Gear in the Elder Scrolls Online is an important aspect of character progression. In ESO, players have 14 different slots to place gear. Knowing what pieces to wear in which slots is honestly very confusing. In-game resources are non-existent, and many guides don't clearly state some of the underlying reasoning behind gear choices. I hope to help clear some of the confusion that new players might have about gear with this video collection. In this series, we're going to cover how to identify sets, different types of gear sets, different places to get gear, how to improve your gear, and more. If you complete this series and still have more questions, make sure to comment them. I plan for this series to keep expanding as needed to help more players enjoy their ESO experience. In ESO, there are 14 slots for gear, 7 of them being considered body pieces. These pieces include the head, shoulder, chest, waist, hand, legs, and feet armor slots. The head, chest, and leg pieces are large pieces, while shoulder, waist, hand, and feet are small pieces. Large gear pieces of the same weight will have a higher armor rating than smaller pieces. Large gear pieces will also get the maximum benefits from enchantments, while small gear pieces will get a portion of the benefits from the same enchantments. Use this information when deciding which body pieces to slot as which weight, which pieces to upgrade first, or which pieces to equip with which enchantments to get the most benefits. In ESO, gear comes in 3 different categories of weights: light, medium, and heavy. The choice of gear weight depends on the playstyle and role of the character. Healers typically wear mostly light armor for magicka regeneration and improved critical rating passives. Damage dealers often wear a mix of light and medium armor to get both the penetration passives of light armor and increase the critical damage and weapon and spell damage from medium armor. Tanks typically wear heavy armor for increased survivability passives. It's important to note that players are not restricted to wearing a specific gear weight based on their class or role. ESO allows players the freedom to mix and match gear weights to suit their preference and playstyle. However, certain passives and abilities in-game may be more beneficial when wearing a majority of one gear weight. In ESO, 4 of the 14 slots for gear are weapons. There are 6 different types of weapons: bow, destruction staff, dual wield, one-handed shield, restoration staff, and two-handed. The bow, destruction staff, restoration staff, and two-handed weapons are one item that takes up 2 slots. Within destruction staves, there are inferno, lightning, and ice staves that each have their own benefits. Within two-handed weapons, there are greatsword, battle axe, and mace. The dual wield and one-handed shield are 2 pieces, with the left being the main hand and the right being the offhand. Within the dual wield, there are daggers, axes, swords, and mauls that each have their own benefit. Players can only ever use and get the benefits of 2 of the 4 gear slots for weapons at a time. This is referred to by the ESO community as a bar. When exploring ESO, players will start collecting various pieces of gear. There is a lot to break down when discussing gear, but let's cover how to read the description of gear in ESO. Starting at the top left, we have the slot this piece of gear will fit into. Right below that, we have the weight and crafting style. On the top right, we have the quantity and location of this item, whether this item is locked or unlocked, if the gear piece is reconstructed or collected. In the middle top, we have the name of that piece of gear, followed by the level and CP level of that piece of gear. Below that, we have the current enchantment. Next, we have the trait of that particular piece of gear. Then you have the part of the gear set name, followed by a number. This number will indicate how many pieces of that gear your player currently has equipped and how many that set contains. Below that is the description of that gear set's bonus for wearing more pieces of it. One of the types of gear sets found in ESO are the 5-piece gear set. These require the player to wear 5 pieces in order to gain the benefits of that set. To identify this type, inspect the gear. A 5-piece gear set will have up to 5 lines of gear benefits, with the 5th usually being the key reason for wearing that gear set. In ESO, it is generally recommended to wear 2 complete 5-piece item sets. One of the 5-piece sets is typically worn on the body, meaning chest, hands, waist, feet, and pants slots, while the other 5 pieces are worn on weapons and jewelry, meaning necklace, ring, 2, and weapon slots. As long as the player is wearing 5 pieces, it doesn't matter where they're worn. But there is a method to this reasoning we'll cover in another video. Do note, players can wear less than the full 5 pieces and receive some of the benefits of the set, but wearing more than 5 pieces of a 5-piece gear set does not provide any additional set bonuses. One of the types of gear sets found in ESO are the 2-piece gear sets referred to as player by monster sets. These require the players to wear 2 pieces in order to gain the full benefits of the set. To identify this type, inspect the gear. A 2-piece gear set will have up to 2 lines of gear benefits. Monster sets are only available for the head and shoulder slot. For Dungeon Monster set, head drops from Veteran difficulty and shoulders drop from the coffers from the Undaunted Pledge Givers. For PvP Monster set, head drops from Imperial City bosses or vault chests, and shoulders are coffers from the Telvar Merchant. Additionally, every weekend in Cyrodiil, there is the Golden Vendor that sells a random selection of gear including monster sets. One of the types of gear sets found in ESO are the 2-piece gear sets referred to by players as arena weapons. Arena weapons are available for every type of weapon. These sets give an additional benefit to a skill of that weapon's skill line. These arena weapons drop from Dragonstar Arena, Maelstrom Arena, Black Rose Prison, Vadistran Hollows, and Asylum Sanctorium. Arena weapons require the player to wear 2 pieces in order to gain the full benefits of that set. To identify this type, inspect the gear. A 2-piece gear set will have up to 2 lines of gear benefits. Note that staves and 2-handers require 2 slots, therefore equipping 1 stave or 2-hander meets the 2-piece requirement. Arena weapons drop from both the final chest in both group arenas like Dragonstar Arena and Black Rose Prison, or solo arenas like Vadistran Hollows or Maelstrom Arena. A common use for arena weapons is to be used for one of the 2 bars. One of the types of gear sets found in ESO are mythics. These are 1-piece gear sets that give specific benefits to the player, sometimes at the cost or loss of other features. Mythics are earned via the antiquity system while doing a wide variety of activities in ESO. We'll be doing a future series all about the antiquity system, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. Each mythic requires 5 different pieces to be collected. Once all 5 have been gathered, they are automatically combined into the mythic gear piece. Mythic gear pieces are automatically at the mythic quality, which is better than legendary quality, so no upgrades are available. These gear sets can be used for a variety of gear slots, from shoulder pieces to chest pieces to rings and necklaces. Currently, there are no mythic weapons in ESO. Finally, a key feature to note is that only 1 mythic can be worn at a time, so players have to choose wisely. In ESO, one of the sources in which players can gain gear is through overland exploration. Each zone has multiple unique sets that can be collected. Overland gear can come from world bosses, delve bosses, public dungeon bosses, world events, or chests. Overland gear can even drop randomly from any overland creature, and certain quests can reward specific pieces. On top of this, overland gear is able to be traded among players so long as the piece has not been bound. Players can also sell and buy gear using the guild trade system, which we will cover in a future video. So if you want some solid sets to get you started on your ESO player progression, overland gear is a great option. In ESO, one of the sources in which players can gain gear sets is through player-crafted gear. There are plenty of options for crafted gear with over 70 sets available for crafting. New players typically ask more veteran players to craft them sets of gear since they are more likely to meet the various requirements needed to craft these sets. Crafted gear sets are available at specific overland crafting locations as indicated by this icon. Players need to have access to that location, or players can use attuned crafting stations found in players' homes. Once a player locates one of these set crafting stations, there are different crafting research requirements for every set. Sets require anywhere from 2 to 9 traits to be researched prior to being able to craft that set piece. Another option is to purchase crafted gear from the guild trader system. I don't recommend this method because finding the correct piece, traits, level, and quality may prove challenging. In ESO, one of the sources in which players can gain gear sets is the 4-player group content called Dungeons. There are over 100 unique 5-piece dungeon sets. These 5-piece gear sets drop from any difficulty of that dungeon. Dungeon monster helms will only drop from veteran or veteran hard mode difficulty. Each dungeon will have 3 different sets of 5-piece gear. 1 light, 1 medium, and 1 heavy. The weight of these gear sets references the armor weight class of that gear, but every gear set will also drop weapons and jewelry with the same 5-piece bonus. Dungeon gear is guaranteed to drop from the bosses in the dungeon along with a chance of additional gear from smaller, non-boss enemies and chests found in that dungeon. Weapons and jewelry are guaranteed from the last boss, while body pieces are gathered from every other boss. Gear acquired within a dungeon can only be shared among those in group at the time of looting for 2 hours. In ESO, one of the sources in which players can gain gear sets is in the 12-player group content called Trials. There are over 40 different 5-piece gear sets. Each trial will have 4 different sets of 5 pieces of gear, 2 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. The weight of these gear sets references the armor weight class of that gear, but every gear set will also drop weapons and jewelry with the same 5-piece bonuses. Trial gear is guaranteed to drop from bosses in the trial along with a chance of additional gear from smaller non-boss enemies and chests found within the trial. Weapons and jewelry are guaranteed from the last boss, while body pieces are gathered from every other boss. Newer DLC trials have the perfected version of the gear sets, which give an additional 5-piece bonus to players, but this only drops on the veteran difficulty. Gear acquired within the trial can only be shared among those in group at the time of looting for 2 hours. In ESO, one of the sources in which players can gain gear sets is in arenas. There are over 10 different 5-piece gear sets that players can collect on top of the 2-piece weapon sets. Arenas that drop these 5-piece sets include Dragonstar Arena, Maelstrom Arena, and Vadistran Hollows. The arena gear is guaranteed to be in the chest that spawns upon killing a boss or completing a round of the arena. Weapons and jewelry are guaranteed from the last boss or round, while body pieces are gathered from every other boss or round. Gear can only be shared among those in group at the time of looting for 2 hours. In ESO, there are hundreds of gear sets, and I bet any new player's head is ready to spin. Fortunately, in Update 32, the curated gear system was introduced. This introduced the set collection, or sticker book as it is commonly called, and the system for players to be guaranteed to obtain items that are not already in their sticker book. The sticker book is accessed under the Collections tab. From there, gear is then organized by where the item drops, such as Overland, Base Game, DLC Dungeons, Arenas, PvP, and more. As items are collected and bound to a player's account, they are added to the sticker book. Items that have not been collected yet from curated sets are guaranteed to drop from bosses. Random drops from mobs, chests, and gear from coffers does not follow the curated gear system and instead is random. See my video on transmutation crystals for a full breakdown of this system and how to use the sticker book. Another way for players to receive gear in ESO is from the rewards for the worthy coffers. These coffers are automatically mailed to players via the in-game mail system for every 20,000 alliance points earned either in Cyrodiil or Battlegrounds. These same gear sets can also be earned through a variety of other activities in Cyrodiil, such as delves, dolmen drops, completing mission boards, or purchasing from certain gear vendors or merchants. Another way to collect these PvP gear sets is to purchase them from guild traders. A term you might hear when discussing gear in ESO is proc sets. Proc sets are gear sets that have a chance to trigger a special effect or ability when certain conditions are met. The term proc is short for programmed random occurrence. In ESO, proc sets are typically defined by the following language in their set bonus description. When criteria is met, proc happens. That criteria could be a heavy or a light attack, a specific type of elemental damage, or any other number of criteria. The proc that occurs could then be a variety of events, including healing, damage, giving a buff or debuff, and tons more. A key note when using a proc set is that as of update 32, procs can't proc procs. So remember, you can't rely on one set to activate another set, as two proc sets cannot activate each other. In ESO, there are 6 different tiers for gear: normal, fine, superior, epic, legendary, and mythic. Upgrading gear quality can be done using upgrade materials, which vary depending on the type of gear. Players are able to upgrade to legendary quality, while mythic level is reserved only for mythic gear. Players upgrade gear to improve the set benefits and armor rating of that gear. Named buffs and benefits from proc sets are not affected by improving the gear quality. Do note that every level of upgrade provides a linear benefit to armor and set bonuses, but not weapon damage. Weapon damage is exponentially benefited from improvement. I plan to explain this in depth in a future video because it is quite interesting. Enchantments in ESO are special bonuses that can be applied to weapons, armor, and jewelry using glyphs created through the enchanting crafting skill. Glyphs are the items used to apply enchantments to gear. They are created by combining 3 different runes, each representing a different aspect of enchantment: essence, potency, and aspect. Glyphs can be created at different quality levels, ranging from normal to legendary based on their aspect rune. There are 3 different types of glyphs: armor glyphs, weapon glyphs, and jewelry glyphs, with each being applied to their respective type of gear. Enchantments can provide a variety of effects, including increased health, magicka and stamina, magicka regeneration, stamina regeneration, and more. Only one type of enchantment can be present on any one piece of gear at a time. By adding a new enchantment to a piece of gear, players remove the previous enchantment's effect. Overall, enchantments are a crucial aspect to gear customization in ESO. In ESO, players can deconstruct gear at crafting station. Even your beloved gold ring can be deconstructed, and many players have accidentally deconstructed items they didn't mean to. To prevent this from happening, players are able to lock their gear. To lock gear in ESO, follow these steps. Select the gear you want to lock. On PC, you right-click the desired item, then choose the lock option. A locked item will then show this closed lock icon beside it. Locked items can be unlocked at any time. Along with being unable to deconstruct, locked items cannot have their enchantments changed without the player having to type "confirm" into a pop-up when the player locks the item. And there you have it, folks. We've covered 19 quick tips to kickstart your journey into the world of gear collecting in ESO. We've touched on a variety of gear-related topics, and I hope you found these insightful and helpful. If you picked up something new today, don't forget to show your support by hitting that like button and dropping a comment letting me know which tip resonated with you the most. If you want to stay in the loop and catch more informative videos like this one, be sure to smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. And if you still have burning questions or need further guidance, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. Remember, this series is all about expanding your knowledge of ESO, and your feedback and questions help shape the future content. So, as you venture forth in the Elder Scrolls Online, keep experimenting, keep exploring, and above all, keep having a blast. Thank you all so much for sticking around till the end, and until next time, have a great day.